I appreciate, through NYACCE and IEPP, we usually get opportunities to hear from GED about uh, great products and services they have available, and they're always kind of telling us what GED Manager can do from their perspective. And, then we have the assist perspective of things. And I think it's important that you're hearing from a more pragmatic view of individuals who are trying to manage assist and manage GED Manager in New York and what we do to make it work. Because it's great to know GED has all the tools, but it's important to know how can we utilize those tools in our programs. So the focus today is really just going through GED Manager and seeing how I use it in our programs to help our students succeed, help our data look good, and yeah, go from there. So GED Manager. All right. Oh, let's see if I hit this button. There we go. So with GED Manager, and first a quick poll, I'm just curious to know who actually has access to GED Manager, who uses it regularly and knows all the ins and outs, who has access but really doesn't use it. And, that will just help to, understand out in the field how others are using it, how often they're using it. So today we're really going to be looking at four main things. We're going to be looking at how do we enroll students, and there are two definitions of enrolling students that we'll talk about. There's Managing GED Ready. The GED Ready is the practice GED, and it's a great resource. We bought into it on day one, and it really helps students succeed. And we can manage it through GED Manager, ensuring that assist data matches. Again, if it's not an assist, it doesn't exist. Rosemary is always here in spirit. So it's important that, programs are getting credit for the great work they're doing. How do we make sure that we get that credit? And then marketing. And this is something we've really delved into probably in the last couple months. GED Manager provides a wealth of information that can be used to reach out to individuals who have taken the GED and were not successful, to reach out to individuals who are going to be taking an upcoming test, or for individuals to reach out to us and say, we are interested in your program. I mean, to me, that is like a marketing dream when I don't have to reach out to you. You just tell me, hey, sign me up. So we'll be looking at those things. Okay. So the first thing you want to talk about is for those who do not have access to GED Manager, the easiest way to get access is have your program manager reach out to adulted@nyced.gov. Unless you are a under 21 program, then you would reach out to, I believe it's Jim Loeffler, who oversees ASET programming in Albany. But the easiest way to do it is go right through adult ed, because if you go through GED themselves, they need to reach out to AEPP to see if you are able to access it. There's a lot back and forth. So if your program manager just emails this email address and just says, I need such and such to have access, here's their email address and our program code is, then they will take it from there. Lisa Pearson worked with me to get a few of our new staff access to it. They're still waiting, but we just started the process earlier this week. Okay. And then approved requests get sent to GED. They set up the account and reach out. When you log into GED Manager, and first I apologize because again, the best way to share information about GED Manager would be an actual tour of GED Manager, but there is just way too much student information in there to be able to jump in there without a lot of student data popping up. So the next best thing is outlining the steps. So GED did recently update their website and made it more user-friendly. I used to have to Google GED Manager because I couldn't find it from the GED website. But now when you go there, GED.com, In the upper right, there's an icon that says educators and admins. You click on that, and then that button in the upper right is replaced with GED Manager. You click there and you can log right in. All right. So talk about enrolling students. Really, their enrolling student has two different meanings. And the first meaning in terms of our students, we are supporting them as they set up their profile. And from their profile, they're able to schedule their exams. They're able to see local prep centers. They are able to do a lot of things independently from their profile, but it helps when we are supporting them in that process. Because number one, it's daunting. We are used to setting up online accounts. Many of our students are not. And then number two, it gives us the opportunity to make sure they're clicking our program. But the other part of enrolling students, and this is equally, if not more important, is claiming students. And we'll talk more about that. But what happens is when a student chooses your program, they're not automatically enrolled in your program. You need to reach out and take steps to enroll them in your program. And if that is not completed, then the data match between ASIST and Albany will not include that student. Okay. And again, we will talk more about that. Then a best practice I just wanted to share real quick when you're claiming students, when you're enrolling students, in your GED Manager account, you can set up email notifications. So when a student chooses your prep code, if you set up your email notifications, every time a student says, I want to be served by Madison Oneida BOCES, I will get an email immediately that says this individual wants to be served by your program. And then I have two options. I can look in ASIST and see if they're already a student. If they are, I just go in and quickly enroll them. If they're not, I reach out to case managers to see, is this a student you're currently working on intake with? If not, this is a student who wants to be working with us, so please reach out. Okay. So in GED Manager, if you go under the admin tab up top, there's a option for manage GED Prep Connect notifications. When you click on that, you just make sure the box by your prep center that says receive emails is clicked. As long as that happens, you will get that email every time a student is interested. And then, in terms of claiming the students, again, when they're interested in the program, it because they show up as interested, but you need to change them to enrolled. So to see who's interested in your program, there's two ways you can do it. First way is under the Manage Student tab. There is an option for Manage GED Prep Connect Enrollment. Then the other way, I prefer the second way because it is right on the home screen. And I mean, being Mr. Lazy, I want to choose the method where as soon as I log in, it's staring at me and I just have to click a button. When you log in, your home screen will show expressed interest, and it will show the number of students who currently are interested in your program. If you just click on that number, that is a link to show you exactly who's interested. Once you do that, then that opens up a filter box where you can go through and see the list of names of individuals who are interested. And when you do this, I always recommend under the GED Prep Connect status, you can choose interested, or you can just leave that blank and you will see students who are interested, who are enrolled, who have been contacted, who have been dismissed, who have been credentialed, and everything else. I tend to just choose interested and then date range. I mean, this is going to show students, if you don't put a date range, you will see students 2 years back who were interested in your program. I typically like to make sure the date range is chosen so that I'm seeing within the last couple months. And again, when I search, I always say I search on a regular basis, and that every week I go in and see who is interested in the program. But when I do the download of those interested to reach out to, I include everybody for usually the past 3 or 4 weeks. And the reason is the first time you see a name and you send it to a case manager, that's not enough time for the case manager to reach out for the student to go through intake and get enrolled in your program. So by choosing back 3 to 4 weeks for about a 1 month period of time, the same student will potentially be on that list every week. And that reminds you that, okay, this individual we still haven't reached out to, or they're still not an assist. And by doing that, we're not losing students because we chose a one and done method. And then when you claim your students, typically, once you set your filters, you get a list that looks like this with all the students who are interested. And so to claim them on the right, you see where it says edit. When you choose that, you can go in and change them from interested to enrolled. That is the step right there that is going to make it so ASIST, when they do the data match, knows the student is connected to your program. So if you do not change them to enrolled, ASIST is not looking for them. A best practice we don't use contacted, credentialed, or dismissed. We just focus on either they're interested or they're enrolled. And that way, if you don't enroll them immediately, again, you keep seeing them on the list until maybe a month later when they do enroll. Oh, I just came to the realization that lunch and learn means it's lunchtime and I didn't eat lunch. So I will try not to get hangry. So once you're enrolled students, the next use of GED Manager that we really focus on is managing the GED Ready. So the GED Ready is a practice GED available, and the benefits include, number one, the platform mirrors the actual GED. To me, that's always been important because a student taking the GED for the first time has two daunting things in front of them. Number one, they're trying to learn the platform. They're trying, and the platform to me is not overwhelming to use, but you're seeing it for the first time. As I've spoke with Nell about, this is my first time doing a webinar on Zoom. So yes, common sense tells me I shouldn't be checking my email on the other screen, but it doesn't mean I'm not going to forget. That having the experience is what gets people comfortable with the platform. Okay. We want students to go into the test being comfortable with the platform, and that way they're not just focused, or they can just focus on the content. Okay. As far as content goes, the content mirrors the GED. Many of the test questions on the GED Ready are actually field test questions for the actual GED. It's a great way for GED to get feedback on the questions that they can then use to inform future tests. Okay. The test scores indicating likelihood of success. I almost pulled my hair out last week because a case manager came to me and said, "Oh, I'm so upset. So-and-so only needed to pass social studies and they failed it by 3 points. And it's just so frustrating. And we thought they were going to pass it." And I looked back at their GED Ready. They got a 140, which showed they were not ready to pass the GED. And so I asked that question. I was like, why are you surprised when they took the GED Ready last week and the GED Ready said they weren't ready? It's a very good indicator of the likelihood of success. Sometimes students are right on the fence, but typically if a student's at a 150 on the GED Ready, they're going to pass the GED. Okay. And then the score reports. To me, this is also a key thing that can be customized to a lot of the GED resources we all use. And we'll talk a little bit more about that, but it just helps students to really know what to focus on as opposed to saying, here's a book, read this and you'll be fine. When you're managing the GED Ready, those who have access can assign the exams to the students in your program. And also, I know many programs use the vouchers. GED Ready, in my opinion, is better than the vouchers in that, number one, you don't have just a list of voucher keys that you have to manage and worry about losing and wonder who has access to them. And then the other big thing, there is no expiration when you use the GED Ready. Vouchers, I believe, expire after a year, but GED Ready, you don't have to worry about your investment going to waste. So when you're managing the GED Ready, once again, I talked about how easy it is just clicking on the link to see who's interested because it's right on the home screen. Well, you can also manage the GED Ready right from your home screen. So when you log in to GED Manager, you have the GED Direct dashboard. And this shows you everything you need to know about the GED Ready. You can even buy the test from there. Okay. So when you're looking at this, and I apologize because let's see if I can move put this on this side. Okay. So when you log into the platform, number one, you've used, that's how many tests have already been used by your students. You've assigned, those are tests that you've assigned that have not been used yet. And on a regular basis, I will go in and just review this to make sure that all the tests that haven't been used are from a more recent time period. If there's a test that I assigned in January that hasn't been used, then I'm going to unassign that because just too much time has passed. Yeah. Those that you've already, that you have left to assign is on the left. Share. This is an important key because again, these test administrations were ordered through my GED Manager account. Yeah, I want others in my organization to also be able to assign the test to students. So when you hit share, you can share your tests with case managers or other program managers, and that will give them access to the test so that they can also assign those tests. And then manage assignments. That again opens up the ability to review who has taken the test, who is still hasn't started the test, and it's also where you can assign tests from. All right, so the GED Ready can be assigned from the student profile or from the Manage Assignments link on the GED Direct dashboard. So this is a key time for me when I'm assigning the test because this is when I'm reviewing the student's data in ASISTS to make sure it matches their data in GED Manager. It's also when I'm looking a student up to make sure that they are not just interested in my program, they are actually enrolled in my program. So I'm always reluctant to share this process with others because I want to make sure I have eyes on all students who are taking the GED Ready so I can review their data and make sure there's a match. Okay. So when you assign the GED from the GED Direct dashboard, you would click on the Manage Assignments, and that was down in the right. I didn't use a shape. I used a freehand, and that's why my oval down there looks like a, I don't know, angry clown. But you would click on Manage Assignments, then you would click on Assign. You would search for the student name. This is another key area that will indicate whether or not you have enrolled the student. So if you search for the student's last name and no students are found, that means even though they may have shown interest in your program, you have not enrolled them. So that is a great opportunity for you to remember that, oh, wait a minute, I still got to make sure that they are enrolled in the program. Okay. And once you do find the student, you choose the GED Ready practice test, and then you just assign the parts they need. If they've already taken some of the test, it will show up here. It will show if they've already passed a few parts, and that way you don't have to worry about, maybe you're assigning the wrong test and you get to this screen and see, oh wait, I thought I was going to assign the math, but it shows they've already taken and passed the math, but they need science. So again, it's just another great opportunity for those kind of checks and balances. And the other way to assign the test is directly from the profile. If you go to Manage Students and search for a student in your program, once you pull up their profile, on the bottom, it will say Assignments, and to the right, it will say Assign. That brings you to that same screen for assigning the test for the students. Okay. Once the GED Ready is assigned, the very next time the student logs into the profile, it is there for them to take it. One selling point we always use for the students, if they were to go and purchase their own GED Ready, it would cost them, I believe, $8 per content area. So for them to take the GED Ready on their own, they would be spending over $32 of their own money. Whereas by taking it through us as our students, they have access to this great resource without having to spend all that money. Okay. Then once the GED Ready has been completed, we can access the score report right in GED Manager. So in accessing the score report, after the student takes the GED Ready, in their profile, you will see the test that they took, and then to the right is their score with a little icon next to it. If you click that, their report will open up. Excuse me. And in the report, you're seeing some important information, such as the likelihood of passing. As I've said before, if a student does not do well on the GED Ready, it should not be surprising if they do not do well on the GED itself. However, it's a great confidence boost when a student passes the GED Ready, because that does show that they are likely to pass the test. Okay. And it also gives a list of topics students can review to increase their score or the likelihood of success. And we've gotten our teachers out of the mindset that they're only focusing on this if the student does not do well on the GED Ready. They can get a 155, have 3 weeks before the test, and still have a great opportunities to improve their scores, so that maybe by the time they test, the 155 is a 165. So using the score report is good for all students, not just those students who maybe did struggle or were on the fence. And the other nice thing is you can link it to a lot of the common GED resources that are out there. Okay. So when you look at the score report, this is what you see. And you'll see I link this one to the GED prep book for 2024, 2025, the big blue Kaplan book. And Kaplan book's a great resource, but it's 700 pages of great resource. And a student who is on the fence there, they're going to feel very overwhelmed. So to be handed a 700-page book and say, this will get you over the hump, is very, you might be doing more harm than good there. Whereas by linking their score report to the book, the skills to improve checklist breaks it down into little sections of 2 to 3 pages within that book that the student should focus on. So instead of looking at your 700 pages, look at these 2 pages for unit rates. Look at these couple pages for computing squares, square roots, and cubes. And that way they have a list of skills that they can work on and pages they can work on, knowing that they don't have to focus on 700 pages of review to improve their scores and really do the best that they can. And this is just one sample of the resources available. They include all the GED Kaplan books going back to, I think, 2019. They include online resources like Aztec, EdConnect, and just a lot of the common resources that we are already using, just pinpoints within those resources where they should focus. Okay. So in a moment, I'm going to go on to matching the GED Manager to ASSIST. First, does anyone have questions, comments, concerns, anything they want to share on the GED Manager?
Hey, Randy, there are a couple of questions in the chat, although I think several of them have been answered.
Okay.
Let me see if I can get to that. And people, if folks want to ask questions, they can just, if you want to raise your hand, we can also, you can unmute and ask them in person. One question I'm seeing is, are the case managers the only ones who can give the GED Ready test?
Nope. In our program, we allow case managers. It's typically the teachers who are going through that process with the students. A couple things to remember. The GED Ready is computer-based, and it's really designed for the student to take on their own. So as long as you have a quiet place for them to sit and take the test, a teacher can administer it, a case manager. Typically what happens is the teacher reaches out to me and says, so-and-so is ready for this GED Ready. And I will first go into ASSIST to make sure they've met our benchmarks as a program, to make sure they have a pre-test, a post-test, a measurable skill gain. How many hours do they have? I will check all of that, and then I will assign it to them. Once it's assigned to them, technically, they could be at home and take it, although our students have not figured that out, and I do not share that with them. Basically what happens is next time they're in class, the teacher, their biggest cheerleader, will say, all right, we got you set up with that GED Ready. So, do you want to do that today? We can go get you set up and you can, give it a shot, see how you do. So, yeah.
So Kathleen, and that might be up to your program. So maybe your program has specific rules, but there's no rules baked into the GED system. There was one other question. Do we only claim students who are currently enrolled in our programs?
That's really up to you. And so first, just going back to the previous thing about teachers administering it, the other part is, like, since the TABE test is a required test, they have stringent rules as to who can do it. Since the GED Ready is not a required test by AEPP, there are generally no rules, saying this person can, this person cannot.
Gotcha.
And then, I'm sorry, what was the second question?
The second question was about claiming students,
Okay.
whether they're currently enrolled or not.
Right. So I try to make sure they're enrolled before I claim them. There are often times where you might have a student who's interested in your program, and I will look and assist first. And I've seen, maybe it was a student who was with us last year. I don't just go in and say they're enrolled. I will have a case manager reach out to re-engage them and wait for the case manager to say to me, okay, this student is now participating again, or I've completed intake. So nothing really prevents you from, enrolling everybody who's interested in your program. But, the best practice is to just make sure you've actually begun engaging with them, and they're going to, at that point, you're kind of responsible for their success. You want the good and the bad. And if you're committed to helping them succeed, then you want to make sure they're actually partaking in your programs.
And Sassy has a follow-up question about how much of the data needs to match. So her question is, do names have to match exactly, including such things as middle initials for GED Manager to match ASSIST students? Is there other information to match, for example, address, social security number?
Yeah. Oh, what a great question. And we are actually going to talk about that next.
Woohoo! It's like, give her $5.
You read my mind. which is not always a good thing. Okay. Oh, there's the button. All right. So you want to make sure that you're getting success and assist for what is happening with your students. Okay. So for that to happen, you want to make sure the student has your prep code indicated in their GED profile. And not only do you want your prep code to show up in their profile, you want to make sure you have changed them from interested to enrolled. Okay. You want to ensure key data matches between GED Manager and ASIST. And in the next slide, we will talk about what that key data is. Or maybe in this one. Okay. And so really that three key pieces of information are the last name, the first name, and the birth date. So in GED.com, GED Manager, you want to make sure they are enrolled as your student, and then that their last name, first name, and birth date matches what's in ASIST. Okay. So here's kind of a side-by-side of their profile versus ASIST. And when you look here, you want to make sure whatever the last name says here is also the last name as it shows up in ASIST. You want to make sure the first name is the same and the birth date. It is not required to have the GED ID in ASIST. It is, however, a best practice to add it. And you on their profile page, there's a HSE test ID field where you can add it. And the reason I think it's important is for, a lot of our data people have to do different follow-up on students. And I know in our organization, we use HSE status report a lot. So by having their HSE test ID here, it's easy to get the information you need to jump into the HSE status report and see if the diploma has been issued. Because student success does not just mean they passed the GED, it means they've gotten their diploma. And, there are a lot of opportunities where they pass the GED, but there are delays or barriers that prevent the diploma from being issued. This will help us be able to follow it up. And also the GED Test Prep Center right here is where you would see your prep code for students who are enrolled. But one thing to be aware of, just because your prep center is showing up here, that does not necessarily mean you have enrolled them. That just means they were interested in your program. You still need to make sure that you go in and actually switch them from interested to enrolled. Some common mistakes I've seen between GED Manager and ASIST. Number one, misspellings. And a lot of that is GED profile students are setting up themselves, whereas a lot of the ASIST data we are collecting from them, but the person writing it down could be different from the person whose name it actually is. And we have a tendency to kind of spell names the way we think they are as opposed to how they are. Different forms of names. Student might enroll with us as Matt, but then in their GED profile, they put Matthew. Okay. Birth dates might be wrong. I had somebody just yesterday say to me, I can't find so-and-so in HSE status report because they were using their birth date based on ASIST. Whereas in GED Manager, I saw their actual birthday, which was a day later. And when we made that change, we saw they had their diploma. Now, fortunately, this student was under 21, so it didn't affect our over 21. Then there's the missing prep code. Hyphens are a big one. Sometimes we may not include the full hyphenated name in ASIST, whereas a student may include it in the GED profile. Junior, senior, and the third. Actually, I think we have a fourth this year as well. So we want to make sure any suffixes that the student includes in the last name box are also in the ASIST last name box. Okay. And same with, for hyphenation, they might use just part of the name in one where the full hyphenated name is in the other. but then the little hyphen dash itself might be the part that's missing. A thing that we always realized was in ASSIST, if there was an apostrophe in their student ID, it would cause chaos. And I don't know if that's still the true, but back in the day, an apostrophe in ASSIST name would be, it would not be fun. So if we had a J apostrophe MAL, we might, when we set up the account, exclude the apostrophe, because with the apostrophe, it wasn't showing up in rosters and things for us to enter attendance. Well, if that's the case, then when they take the GED and we compare their data to GED Manager, we want to make sure we put the hyphen back in. Okay. So if all the data is not a perfect match, then the results won't match. If we are reviewing it and we see the data doesn't match, the easiest thing to do is change ASSIST. And the reason for that is we can't change a student profile in GED Manager. We can change it in ASSIST. So, if you know something's obviously wrong, if their last name is obviously wrong in GED Manager, then work with them to fix it. However, if it's something you can quickly fix in ASSIST, that's the best way to ensure that that data match is going to happen. All right. So the other thing that we've really started to use GED Manager for is our marketing. Okay. So with GED Manager, we have the tools we can identify those interested in our program. You know how? Every time they say, I'm interested in your program, we get an email. I mean, how much easier can it get for us? We can identify those, and I gotta be careful here, because this is if you are a GED test center and you have that jurisdictional view. If you are a test center, you can identify those who maybe took the test last month and didn't pass a specific part. Okay. And our big selling point, if you take the test as an open, you are more likely to be unsuccessful than if you take it after doing a program. I think pass rates for open testers are still well below 50%. Whereas by taking one of our programs, by doing fast track workshops, you increase that, up to 70, 80%. And that in itself should be all the marketing we need to get students in our doors. So we can identify those who have tested and were not successful. We can also identify those who are signed up for a future test. Again, if you are a test center, I think you know how quickly your tests are filling up. There is definitely a availability problem in New York with the GED. So students are eager when they find a spot to get signed up for that spot. But we have the opportunity to see, okay, who signed up for our August test? And then we can reach out to them and say, okay, we see you're signed up in August and you're taking our math. We got this great fast track math program that is really, between now and then, if you complete 4 packets, it's really going to increase the likelihood of your success. And the other, again, big tip there is, and if you do those packets, we can then assign you a GED ready, and you can see if you are ready for the test. Okay. So that's good for fast track programming. And that's just my caveat. And in order to see the students who tested or are about to test, you need to actually be a test center. So if your program does not offer the GED, you would not be able to access that. But you could reach out to your local test centers and say, hey, can you let us know if there are people in the area who are signed up that we might want to reach out to?
Okay, I had risen. Can you hear me?
Yes. Yep.
Okay. My question is related to, I have heard that if an individual wants to sign up in GED.com, they do have to choose a prep center no matter what. It's like one of those mandatory things that they have. So if that's true, I don't know. But if they choose ours, but they decide to just go ahead and they don't come for a prep program or anything like that,
Yeah.
and they go and try and take the GED test on their own, do we get the fault for it? Or we
So a couple of things on that. First, as long as you don't change them from interested to enrolled, that would not reflect on your program.
okay.
And the other thing is they don't have to choose the program, but my understanding and my experience is it's not easily identified that you do not have to choose a program. So from a
Get
student
that.
perspective, when they look in there, it looks like, these prep programs pop up. And it looks like there is no option other than to choose it. I think there is a way to not choose it. But ultimately, if they choose your program and never interact with you, as long as you don't switch them to enrolled, then it will not be reflected by your program.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, so identifying those who are interested, when you search those interested, you're able to explore all that as an Excel spreadsheet. And the spreadsheet will include important stuff like the names, the emails, the phone numbers, the addresses, and the birth dates. Okay. So all that's important because that lets me know, number one, are they in my geographic area? Number two, gives me everything I need to actually reach out to them, the email and the address and the phone number. And number three, the birth date. If they're under 21, I'm not going to send them a brochure to sign up for Fast Track. So in order to, again, in order to do this as a test center, you need to change your default account over to the jurisdictional view. And then you would go into reporting to the student test activity report. And when you do that, you get another filter screen. And in these filters, you want to include, if you're looking at students who have already tested, you're looking for those who were GED below passing. Because, I didn't really get too much involved in trying to market my program to individuals who have already passed the GED, but more than likely they wouldn't have much interest. So if you focus on those below passing, you got individuals who have shown that they're committed to succeeding, but also they need a little help. The test date range, it's good to look at the last 2 or 3 months. A couple of reasons. If you can get individuals who are still waiting their 60 days, then it might be easier to market your program saying, well, you can't test until August anyway, so why don't you come and try these fast track packets or try our workshop? And also, you want to include your test center. Because once again, I don't want to be doing my marketing with somebody down in New York City if I'm in Utica. So your filters look like this. And again, below passing, date range, and the test center. Once you do that, you can easily just export it as an Excel spreadsheet. And I always filter that before I share it with my case managers or other program managers to reach out. Because like I said, I don't want the person who lives out in Amsterdam being reached out to because we really can't serve them. We don't have our MOU. So it's important to, just filter through and make sure the students you're focused on are the students that you can actually serve. Okay. And then in the search filters, I just got to readjust my screen again. There we go. Okay. All right. So if you're marketing for students who have not tested yet, so those individuals who are going to be taking an upcoming test, but have not taken it and not been successful, then for testing activity, you want to look for appointments. And then for dates, you put in the future dates, the dates of your upcoming test, and that will give you the list of everybody who signed up. Then again, include your test center. Again, I'm not reaching out to somebody who's not coming to my test center to see how we can better serve them, because more than likely they're not in my geographic area. So once again, your filter bar would look like this. One other thing I sometimes do is I will filter it by exam subject. Now, realistically, when I export this to Excel, I can filter it by exam subject. So I can see exactly how many students are signed up for math, how many are signed up for science, how many social studies. If you wanted to just focus on math, though, at this stage, you could go into exam subject and just put math. Or writing. Writing seems to be the other key area that, our fast track workshops can really help students. And when you do this, you'll have a nice handy list of students who are going to be testing with you within the next month or two. Once again, these are individuals. Reach out and share with them. We have these fast track packets. You can come in for tutoring. We have a workshop set up where you can practice writing an essay. There's a lot of opportunities to reach out to students and help them be successful. Personally, I don't want just my students succeeding on the GED. I want them all succeeding. Might not be good for job security, but still, it would be good. The more students we can help through this process, the better. Okay. And so your list of upcoming testers can then be exported as an Excel spreadsheet. And by doing that, you're able to just filter it. And what I like to remove, if they're under 21 and I can't serve them, I take them out. If they're outside my geographic area, take them out. And if they're already my students, I really don't have to market my programs to them because they know what I have to offer. Doesn't mean we might not still want to have that on our radar. It could show us that we're about to lose a student because they're eager to take the test, but they haven't met the benchmarks yet. So this is also a way we can identify those. We might be at risk of losing because they're ready to take the test and they feel like we're kind of getting in their way. And then we do some magic deal making with them. Then the remaining individuals, they're good for our fast track packets and our workshops. And I don't know if a lot of programs are doing workshops right now. I know prior to COVID, we would do typically before every test, we would at least have a 2-day math workshop. I know post-COVID, it hasn't been as abundant, but it's something we're looking to really start investing in again, because the best thing we learned from the workshops was oftentimes we would get open testers come to one of our workshops, and what they learned was they're not ready for the test. And then they would say, you know what, I want to enroll in your program for a time and really work towards it because I now see I'm not ready. When you want to export it as a Excel spreadsheet, when you go through all your filters and hit search, you're going to get a list of all these individuals who are interested. So we have 124 people signed up for our July test. By clicking on export, that is what downloads it as an Excel spreadsheet. So out of those 124, we can filter through and see how many of them should we actually be marketing to for our programs. Before the webinar, I was talking with Nell, and test accessibility is a very big struggle throughout the state. And as I was telling Nell, out of these 124 subtests that we're offering in July, only about 40 of them are people within our actual geographical area. And we serve 22 component school districts. It's not like we're a small test center, but out of those 22 component districts, only about 40 of them are those who are signed up for the GED. The others, again, once again, on this test, we have people coming to Central New York from good old New York City. We have a lot of people from Amsterdam, Gloversville, from Norwich. All right. Students from all over the state. So, that's why, number one, the first message there is we really got to work to make the test more accessible. But also when we're marketing, it's not just downloading a spreadsheet and saying, okay, reach out to all these people. Because all these people, I mean, number one, we don't want to step on one another's toes if they're not in our area. First, I'm not allowed to serve those students. And second, I don't want to be reaching out to students who are in one of my colleagues' areas, and I don't want them to think I'm poaching students, you know? So it is important, you know, as we're going through and filtering students, that we're choosing the students who we are able to serve and help succeed. And I always think it's the last slide, and I click the button and there's another one, and it's a big surprise for me. So let's see what happens. Ah, no, that was the last one. Okay. So again, you know, they're really the important thing that we use GED Manager for is making sure we have a tool for reaching out to students, making sure we are set up to really get that credit with the ASISTS data match, and making sure with the GED Ready that we are preparing students who are truly ready to succeed on the GED. The other thing we're learning is, I will say more and more, back in the day, it used to be if a student took the GED or the task the first time and was not successful, they wouldn't come back and try again. But we are seeing more and more students who are coming back and trying it over and over again. However, we have the opportunity to kind of step in and have a little intervention and say, listen, if you really want to succeed, you should be working with us because we can give you the best chance of it. Are there other questions or comments or great insights? Call me out for something I got wrong. It's okay.
There's one question I'm seeing, under status, is it required to enter student referred to HSE test? I'm guessing that's an ASISTS question, maybe.
No, it's not. And so back when they were having trouble with the data merge at the end of, it might have been last year or the year before, during that time, they were matching the data based on the GED ID and changing the status to refer to GED. That was only during that time period as they were working through the difficulties in getting the data merged. So, and I can double check with Kate, but as of right now, I believe as long as they're enrolled in your program, have your prep code, and their last name, first name, and birth date match, they will match.
And Lori has her hand raised.
Hi, Lori.
Hello, Randy. I am trying to get our test center up and going. For us, it was a huge problem because during task we transitioned to Chromebooks.
Yeah.
And so acquiring laptops for this has been a Herculean lift for us. So
Right.
thank you for serving people from our area. I really appreciate it. But my question is, so I need to become more active in GED Manager. The person who used to do that in my program has moved on. So if I need to be in GED Manager as a program person, can I also be in GED Manager as a test center jurisdictional person?
Yeah, so what will happen is when you log into GED Manager, by default, your default account is for your program associated with you. But when you click on default and switch to jurisdictional, then you are switching to your role as a test center. And in that, you can see not just your students, but those from across the state who are interested in or have already tested.
Okay.
Yeah. And if
Great.
you're not seeing both of those, then you would reach out to either GED or AEPP to make sure they're both included.
Okay. Thank you, Randy.
And good luck with your test center because it's not a fun process.
No, it's not.
Okay. All right. Well, it's 1 o'clock. If there's no other questions or comments, you know, I thank you all for spending your lunch with me.
Thank you, Randy.
could
You're
do,
getting
like,
lots of thanks in the chat, so you did a great job.
thank you. And again,
We-
please, always, if you have questions or concerns, reach out. You know, we are a team where it's not every organization for itself. It's how can we both support each other? So always feel free to reach out and enjoy the rest of your day.
Thank you so much. Thank you all for joining us today. Thank you so much, Randy, for doing the session today. And like I said at the beginning, we will be putting a recording up on our YouTube channel, and we'll also be getting you like a PDF version or a cleaned up version of the slides later this week. We really appreciate everybody. Yay, NYACCE. Have a great rest of the summer, and we will be back in Lunch and Learn land, I'm guessing in October. So take care, everybody. Stay
Thank you.
cool.
Thanks, Nat.
Bye.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you again, Randy.